Hello everyone, welcome back. Talking Sense. I'm Ben, and I'm going to do another review today. I've had a couple of reviews that I've been really meaning to do, both from L'Artisan Parfumeur, and they're both quite sort of unique and to some degree quite complicated sense. So I thought today was the day to start cracking on with these. Today, the first review we got is Bois Farine. So yep, Bois Farine, bit of a strange one. It was made in 2003 by Jean Claude Ellena, just before he went to Hermes. Jean Claude Ellena, if you're not aware, he was the in-house perfumer for Hermes from 2003 until 2018. So probably if you like any Hermes perfumes that have come out in the last, well, in any of that time, he made that. And he has a very sort of distinct style, and a lot of people really like it. Some people don't. I'm a massive fan, which is why I got hold of this. So anyway, what does it smell like? Right, notes for Bois Farine, according to Fragrantica, are iris, sandalwood, musk, benzoin, jasmine, guaiac wood, cedar, woody notes, and powdery notes. So how does it actually smell on the skin? Well, I've got the dry down on this wrist and I've got nothing on this wrist, so we'll give it a spray and I'll tell you what the opening smells like, and then we'll kind of go into the dry down. It's quite a linear scent, so the initial spray is really interesting. The first sort of 5-10 seconds you're smashed with this really obvious and really bold and brash cedar. It's a Virginian cedar. It smells like pencils, and it's really brash. But it only lasts like 5 to 10 seconds, and then it's immediately replaced by this very nutty, slightly woody fragrance. But this is very unique. This is definitely a quite an eccentric perfume. It's the nut in it is, it's not sweet. It has like a tiny touch of sweetness, but not much at all. Some people say it smells like peanut butter. I'm not sure I agree, because it doesn't have that oily kind of, it's much drier than that. It doesn't have like texturally, it doesn't have that kind of waxy oilness, or like oily vibe that you might expect, or kind of butteriness, from peanut butter. Instead, I sort of feel like it smells kind of like maybe like crushed peanuts and the skins of peanuts. When you get like a bag of peanuts and it gets to the bottom and you have like the kind of just the skins, and they're all kind of crushed up and a little bit powdery. That's what I feel it smells like. But it definitely is a kind of peanut nutty smell, and it's very strong. It's that's kind of all there is to it. It is kind of underscored by this kind of cedary woody note, but for me it's like 90% like a big nutty smell. It's very, very, very dry, and it's absolutely dominated by this kind of flower kind of vibe. I sort of feel like it's more of like a talcum powder kind of thing, because with the kind of sweetness of the iris, it has that very slight perfume smell, and that's interesting, because this is what I'm going to kind of get into. But it has a very slight perfume smell. Well, it's a perfume, it should do. But interestingly, this doesn't really have much of a perfume smell, and I'll come to that. But yeah, so really that's what you get for the first sort of like 20 minutes, is this kind of peanut, very nutty vibe with just a slight kind of cedary wood underneath that, and it's all very powder. It's all very like talcum powdery, and it just has a tiny touch of sweetness, and it's quite. I say it is quite eccentric. It's quite unique. I haven't smelled a lot. In fact, I don't really think I've smelled anything quite like the opening to this, or quite like this perfume at all. So it definitely has its. I mean, eccentric is definitely the word for it. It has that typical kind of Jean Claude Ellena transparency to it, and it's also incredibly sheer and incredibly delicate. So basically you're kind of going to get this weird kind of peanut, right, for like 20 minutes, and then it kind of transfers to the kind of dry down stage, and after that it's basically linear. More than anything, it kind of, the iris comes out, the peanut and the nuttiness still sort of stays there. That comes down just a touch. The woods kind of move up a little bit, and you get this kind of iris that sits underneath it. It's got a slight root to it, the iris, but it's really sheer and it's really delicate. Again, it's kind of if you're kind of familiar with Jean Claude Ellena, the way he does kind of florals, it's very sort of like that sort of watercolory transparency. And it does, this perfume does have that kind of transparent quality to it. You know, the scent profile is very it's very unique, but it's slightly powdery, but it does have that kind of watery kind of watercolor vibe to it as well, which is interesting because sort of powder and water shouldn't really work together. But I suppose the watercolor and water is more abstract, whereas the powdery is something you can feel in the fragrance. It's much more textural than that. Say it does have like a powdery texture, and the fragrance does stay really powdery. It does feel like a talcum powder. In general, it feels like you're not wearing a fragrance. It smells a lot like just kind of clean skin, and it's one of the most sort of sheer and delicate woody fragrances that I know of personally. But it makes it difficult. So who is this perfume for? You know, it makes it really hard to recommend, because, you know, if someone would, I can't think of a situation where I would say to someone, oh, you should definitely pick up that, you know, that would work perfect for what you want, because it's so limited. I think the people who I could kind of recommend this to in any good conscience are people who are really kind of perfume nerds, who like Jean Claude Ellena, then go for it. Perfume nerds who kind of want to smell something that has like an interesting and eccentric note profile, go for it, because it is very eccentric and very unique, and I've not smelled anything quite like it. But it is very simple as well. So, you know, it doesn't really move much, and it's very easy to describe, and it's very transparent, and, you know, so again, if you're a perfumer, it's more of a novelty, you know, because it's not something you can get lost in for days. But it's something that it's just interesting and quite unique. The only other person that I could possibly ever recommend this to would be someone who was looking for a scent that was safe for work, whose workplace or the situation they wanted to wear it in was very against perfumes. Like, you know, for example, sometimes people have workplaces who kind of ban perfumes and stuff these days. I think you could, it's that little of a perfume smell that you could probably wear it in that situation, and no one would question if you're wearing perfume or not. It smells like, I say, it just smells like really clean skin. But it is really nice, and so it is really difficult to sort of, what do you say about it? Because I want to say, no way. I mean, at the retail price, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, to be honest, because it's a little too much of a novelty. But that's putting the scent down too much, because it is a really nice fragrance. But it just, you know, I feel like it has that ability to disappoint very much, because it's so much of a nothing in a way. But that said, it's really unique, it's really interesting, and it is, I think, a lovely fragrance. It's in terms of masculine and feminine, it leans a touch feminine, but it's, you know, it has the woods and stuff to keep it unisex, but it is very sheer, very delicate. It's one of the most delicate woody scents that I know of. It feels very kind of pure and kind of innocent in a way, and it has that kind of, say, like transparent, delicate feel to it. And then of course you got that powderiness and things like that, which all kind of tie in with that as well, and just make it feel very ethereal and kind of sort of, yeah, just a sort of innocent sort of sweet, innocent sort of vibe, but not in that kind of teenage perfumer sort of way. Definitely not like that. But it's a lovely scent, and the iris in it is really nice. Honestly, it says it has like musk and benzoin and jasmine. I don't really feel I smell a lot of those. It does get a touch musky towards the late dry down, but for me, I think the main notes in this are cedar and iris and the powder and the peanuts. That's what I would say the main notes are. Anything else, if it's in there, it's playing a very much a supporting role that I don't really pick up. So for me, the most prominent is the peanut, the nuttiness. That smells very much like a kind of powder, sort of almost like smushed up, but there's no that oil. It's very dry. It's not waxy. It's not buttery. So it's very dry. And then under that, so you got the delicate woods that feels very like a cedar to me, and it feels very. The cedar does feel a little industrial, I suppose. It's not kind of rough, raw kind of stuff. It does feel like a processed kind of wood to me, and otherwise, just the iris sort of blooms and gives it a very nice sweetness. The iris in this is very sheer. Has like a touch of rootiness to it, but it's very kind of watercoloured and sheer and sort of transparent and delicate again. Otherwise, it's just really interesting in that it's texturally so dry and powdery. Very nice, but very hard to recommend. I think if you can get it at a good price and you're really kind of interested in smelling something with an interesting, very eccentric note profile, go for it. I think if you're really into Jean Claude Ellena and you can get it at a good price, go for it. For everyone else, probably, I'm not sure I can really recommend it in good conscience, unless of course you are looking for a scent where you can wear it to work and no one's going to know, and then in that case, great. I think as a kind of safe office work scent, it's really, really nice, one of those, and it, perhaps if you're a little kind of self-conscious and you want to wear something that is very kind of sheer, then again, I could recommend it to you then, and I think it would be really good. Otherwise, yeah, it's a peculiar fragrance, and I'm not sure what to say about it in terms of do I think it's good or bad. I love it, I think it smells nice, but it's kind of crap, and it kind of doesn't really do anything, and it kind of feels like you're not really wearing a fragrance, but it's really nice at what it does do. So if that makes any sense, yeah, go ahead and pick it up or don't. It's very unique and eccentric. I think that's probably the kind of underlying kind of thing for it. So that's my thoughts on Bois Farine, really. It's a very simple fragrance. It's very linear. We're gonna be getting a little bit dirty in a minute with Zoncar, which is a really complicated L'Artisan Parfumeur fragrance. So yeah, look forward to that one. Cheers, thanks for watching, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Nice one.